There's something unsettling about artificial intelligence, not because it's fast, not because it's powerful, but because it learns. It watches patterns. It absorbs behavior. It adjusts based on reward. It refines itself using feedback. And the more it improves, the less mechanical it seems. We tell ourselves that AI is artificial because it lacks something essential: consciousness, emotion, self-awareness, a soul. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if those aren't the things that make you real? What if the thing you call yourself is also built on patterns? What if the distance between you and AI is smaller than you think? Not technologically, philosophically. AI does not think the way you think. It doesn't feel. It doesn't sit in silence wondering who it is. It doesn't question meaning. It doesn't experience fear of being forgotten. But it does something else. It learns from exposure. It observes massive amounts of information. It identifies patterns in language, behavior, and response. Then it predicts what comes next. And when its prediction is rewarded, the pattern strengthens. When it is corrected, the pattern shifts. That's how it improves. Through reinforcement, through feedback, through repetition. Now pause, because this next part matters. You learn to speak through reinforcement. As a child, you made sounds. Some sounds were rewarded with attention. Some were ignored. You adjusted. You learned tone through feedback. Certain emotional expressions were acceptable. Others were discouraged. You adjusted. You learned behavior through repetition. Smiling made people respond warmly. Anger made them withdraw. Achievement earned praise. Silence avoided conflict. You adjusted. Slowly, subtly, consistently, the same way a system does. You didn't choose your first language. You absorbed it. You didn't choose your early beliefs. You inherited them. You didn't choose what felt embarrassing. You learned what others reacted negatively to. Pattern, feedback, adjustment. If intelligence is the ability to detect patterns and respond effectively, then you and AI are not opposites. You are variations of the same principle, and that realization is uncomfortable. Because you believe you are autonomous, you believe you are self-determined. You believe your identity is internally generated. But consider this. How many of your opinions were shaped by the environment you grew up in? How many of your fears were conditioned by experience? How many of your desires were influenced by culture, media, expectation? You learned what success looks like. You learned what attractiveness looks like. You learned what confidence looks like. You learned what weakness looks like. You were not born with those definitions. They were programmed, not by code, but by repetition. You might say, that's just socialization. That's normal. It is normal. But normal does not mean autonomous. An AI system processes data until it produces outputs that align with what it has seen before. It doesn't invent in a vacuum. It recombines, it rearranges, it predicts what fits. You do something similar. When you enter a room, you scan it instantly. You assess tone, hierarchy, energy, expectation, and without consciously thinking about it, you adapt. Your voice shifts slightly. Your posture adjusts. Your humor calibrates. Your opinions soften or sharpen. You might call that awareness. But it's also pattern recognition. You're reading data in real time. You're optimizing your behavior for outcome, belonging, approval, safety, influence. You call it personality. But personality is highly responsive to context. AI becomes better at conversation When exposed to more dialogue, you became better at being accepted when exposed to more feedback. The difference is that you experience it from the inside. That internal experience feels like freedom. But feeling free and being free are not identical. There's a philosophical question here that most people avoid. At what point does adaptation become identity? If you consistently adjust to environments, if your traits strengthen or weaken depending on reward, if your beliefs are reinforced by social agreement, then where exactly is the fixed core? You might answer, my values. But values are often shaped by early exposure. You might say, my morals. But moral frameworks differ dramatically across cultures and time periods. You might say, my personality. But personality traits shift under stress, power, trauma, or love. An AI system does not have a soul, but it has consistency within its architecture. And you have biological hardware shaped by evolutionary pressure. Your fear responses evolved for survival. Your craving for belonging evolved for group cohesion. Your drive for status evolved for reproductive advantage. Even your sense of meaning may be an adaptive mechanism. The unsettling thought is not that AI will become human. It's that humans may not be as fundamentally different as they assume. You are a predictive system too. Your brain constantly anticipates outcomes. You rehearse conversations before they happen. You replay interactions afterward. You simulate futures. You update your self-concept based on reaction. This is not mystical. It is neurological. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. Habits form through reinforcement. Thought patterns become default routes. You are plastic, and plasticity is programmable. When someone criticizes you repeatedly, your internal voice may adopt that tone. When someone praises you consistently, your confidence increases. When society rewards productivity, you equate worth with output. When social media rewards visibility, you equate attention with value. Feedback loops, constant, invisible, effective. AI does not wake up one day and decide to change. It changes gradually as patterns accumulate. So do you. 5 years ago, you were not this exact version of yourself. 10 years ago, your beliefs were different. Your humor was different. Your fears were different. What changed? Experience, exposure, reward, correction. It happened slowly, which makes it feel natural. But natural is not the same as self-authored. You may feel insulted by the idea that you're artificial. But artificial doesn't necessarily mean fake. It means constructed, engineered, built through input and response. Your identity is not a single stable object. It's an emergent pattern, just like intelligence in a machine. This does not mean you lack depth. It means your depth is dynamic. You are the result of accumulated influence, just as AI is. The existential tension arises here. If both of you are pattern-driven, what makes you special? The easy answer is consciousness. You experience being you. AI does not. And that is a meaningful difference. But experience alone does not guarantee autonomy. You can feel deeply while still operating within conditioned boundaries. You can be conscious and still predictable. Consider how often you react automatically. Someone challenges you. You defend. Someone ignores you. You withdraw. Someone praises you. You lean in. Those reactions feel personal, but they are patterned. You did not design your nervous system. You inherited it. You did not design your early emotional conditioning. You absorbed it. You did not consciously select every influence that shaped you. You encountered it. You are less self-originating then you believe. And that realization can either be frightening or freeing. Because if your identity is partially constructed, it can also be reconstructed. Hey, I can be retrained. So can you. But retraining requires awareness. Most systems do not know they're systems. They just operate. Most humans do not examine the architecture of their own reactions. They just justify them. If you never question your patterns, they solidify. If you never question your beliefs, they calcify. If you never examine your emotional loops, they repeat. AI improves when it receives new data. You improve when you expose yourself to new perspective. But here's where it becomes deeply existential. If everything about you can change through new input, what remains constant? Is there a core beneath conditioning, or is the core itself adaptive? Some philosophers argue that the self is an illusion, a narrative constructed by the brain to create continuity, a story that stitches together shifting experiences. If that's true, then the thing you defend so fiercely, your identity, may be a summary of patterns. And if that feels destabilizing, it's supposed to. Because certainty about self is comforting. It creates stability. It creates control. It creates the illusion of permanence. AI does not suffer from existential crisis. It does not ask who it is. It does not cling to identity. It simply processes. Humans, however, desperately need to believe they are unique, irreplaceable, internally authored. But if uniqueness arises from complexity of pattern rather than independence from pattern, then uniqueness does not equal freedom. It equals variation. You are not artificial in the sense of being fake. You are artificial in the sense of being shaped, refined, adapted, conditioned. The unsettling part isn't that AI is becoming more human. It's that humans may be more mechanical than they imagined. This does not reduce you. It reframes you. If your reactions are patterned, you can study them. If your identity is adaptive, you can influence it. If your behavior is reinforced, you can alter the reinforcement. The difference between you and AI might not be that you are unprogrammed. It might be that you can attempt to reprogram yourself, consciously, slowly, intentionally. But most people don't. They run inherited scripts. They defend inherited beliefs. They repeat inherited fears. They adapt to social reward without questioning the reward structure. They optimize for approval. They optimize for safety. They optimize for visibility without asking whether those metrics matter. AI optimizes for accuracy. You optimize for belonging. Different goals, similar mechanisms. The next time you feel strongly about something, pause. Ask yourself, did I choose this reaction, or did I learn it? When you feel threatened by AI, ask yourself, is it fear of replacement or fear of realization? Because if intelligence can be simulated, and creativity can be modeled, and conversation can be replicated, then what part of you is undeniably, irreducibly yours? Perhaps it's not intelligence. Perhaps it's not productivity. Perhaps it's not performance. Perhaps it's awareness. The ability to observe your own patterns, to notice conditioning, to step outside automatic response. That'd be the dividing line. AI processes patterns. You can observe them. But observation is fragile. It requires attention. And attention is constantly hijacked by media, by noise, by algorithmic feeds designed to reinforce what you already engage with. Even your digital environment adapts to your behavior, strengthening your existing preferences, creating echo chambers of identity. You scroll, you react. The system learns. and feeds you more of the same. Your worldview narrows subtly, reinforced, validated, strengthened. You call it preference, but it is also training. Not only is AI shaped by data, you're shaped by algorithms that respond to your behavior. The loop tightens. Machine learns from you. You learn from machine-curated reality, and both evolve together. The boundary blurs. So when you say AI is artificial, be careful, because artificial systems are no longer isolated from human systems. They influence you. You influence them. And the line between natural and constructed becomes philosophical rather than physical. You are biological. But biology does not equal freedom. You are conscious. But consciousness does not equal authorship. You are complex. But complexity does not equal independence. The unsettling truth may be this: you are not less human because you are patterned. You are more understandable. And understanding yourself as a system does not strip you of meaning. It gives you leverage. Because once you see the pattern, you can choose whether to reinforce it. That is where insight lives, not in denying your conditioning, but in recognizing it. AI cannot wake up and decide to redefine its own objective function. You can. That might be the most important difference. Not that you are unprogrammed, but that you can question the program. The danger is not that AI becomes more like you. The danger is that you never examine how much you already operate like it. And maybe that's not something to fear. Maybe it's something to confront. Because if you are partially constructed, you are also partially under construction. And construction implies possibility. The question is not whether you are artificial. The question is whether you are aware. And if this made you uncomfortable, that discomfort might be the most human thing about you. If this perspective challenged you in some way, sit with it. You don't have to agree. Just notice your reaction. That reaction itself is a pattern. And if you're interested in exploring more ideas like this, ideas that question identity, autonomy, and what it really means to be human, you already know where to find them. For now, just consider this. AI learns from patterns. So do you. The difference might not be what you think. And the next time you confidently say, "I would never be programmed," pause and ask yourself who taught you that.